Want to understand why people cheat and how to save your relationship? You're not alone. Join our channel and discover real stories of betrayal and how people cope with it. Expert advice on understanding the psychology of cheating. Open discussions and support from fellow members. How to spot the signs of cheating early on. Subscribe now to get the help and support you deserve. I've been staring at this burner phone for 3 hours now. My hands won't stop shaking. I don't know who I am anymore, or who my wife of 12 years has become. I and Sarah have what I always thought was the perfect marriage. College sweethearts, built our careers together, bought our dream home in the suburbs last year. We've been trying for kids. I thought we both wanted the same future. I was so fucking blind. It started with something so innocent. Sarah's birthday is next week, and I wanted to surprise her with the earrings she's been eyeing for months. I knew she had a similar pair tucked away somewhere, and I needed to check the style to make sure I got the right ones. While she was at her yoga class, the irony of this kills me now, I went searching through her closet, digging through the jewelry box, then the shoe boxes when I couldn't find them there. That's when I knocked over her winter boots from last season, and something clattered out. A small black phone. Not her iPhone that I know, a cheap burner phone, the kind you see in crime shows. My first thought was maybe it was an old backup phone, but something felt wrong. It had a passcode, of course. I tried her birthday. Nothing. Our anniversary. Nothing. On a desperate hunch, I tried 0428, the day we met. It unlocked. The messages hit me like a physical blow. Hundreds of texts to someone saved as J, explicit photos. Meeting arrangements at hotels. Miss you already. Last night was incredible. Can't wait to feel you inside me again. The timestamps aligned perfectly with her late meetings, and girls' nights, and yoga classes. 3 years of lies, right there in my hands. I put everything back exactly how I found it and went downstairs to pour myself a drink. Sarah came home an hour later, flushed and smiling, telling me about the amazing flow she had at yoga. She kissed me like nothing was wrong. I somehow managed to smile back. I don't know what to do. I haven't confronted her yet. Part of me wants to gather more evidence, figure out who J is. Another part wants to scream until my lungs give out. I am writing this from our guest bedroom while she sleeps peacefully in our bed. Tomorrow, I am going to follow her when she leaves for her lunch meeting. I need to see this with my own eyes, even if it destroys me. I followed her today. I feel like I am living in someone else's nightmare. After I posted yesterday, I barely slept. I kept reading and rereading those messages until the words burned into my brain. This morning, Sarah got ready as usual, kissed me goodbye, and said she had client meetings until 3 p.m. I waited 10 minutes, then got in my car. I've never followed anyone before. It's surprisingly difficult, staying far enough back not to be noticed, but close enough not to lose them. She didn't drive to her office downtown. Instead, she headed to the north side of the city, to one of those luxury apartment buildings with doormen and private elevators. I parked across the street and watched her walk in confidently, like she'd been there 100 times before. She didn't even have to check the directory. The doorman greeted her with a familiar nod. I sat in my car for nearly 20 minutes, trying to decide what to do. Then I thought, fuck it, and walked into the building. The doorman was distracted with a delivery, so I slipped past him to the directory. I didn't know what name to look for, only the initial J. There were 7 residents with J names. Then I noticed one. James Walker, 1701. The floor number struck me immediately. 17. Sarah always says 17 is her lucky number. She even made us wait for table 17 at our anniversary dinner last month. I took the elevator up to the 17th floor and stood outside apartment 1701. My heart pounding so hard I thought it would break my ribs. I could hear them through the door. Her laugh, that specific laugh she does when she's truly relaxed. Then a man's voice, deep and unfamiliar. I don't know what possessed me, but I knocked. The voices inside went silent. Footsteps approached. When the door opened, I came face to face with him. Tall, well-built, maybe early 40s, wearing nothing but sweatpants. I recognized him instantly from Sarah's company website. James Walker. Her fucking boss. His eyes widened in recognition too. Before either of us could speak, Sarah appeared behind him, wearing his shirt and nothing else. The look on her face. I'll never forget it. Not guilt, not even surprise, really. Just irritation, like interrupted something important. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. I couldn't speak. I just turned and walked to the elevator. She followed me, calling my name, but I couldn't bear to look at her. I drove home in a daze and packed a bag. I am at my brother's place now. My phone has 27 missed calls from her. The worst part? When I was leaving, I checked our joint account. Over the past 3 years, there have been dozens of transfers to a separate account I didn't know about. Thousands of dollars. She's been planning something. This wasn't just sex. This was a whole secret life being built right under my nose. I am meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. Everything just exploded. I don't even know where to begin. After posting my update, I met with a lawyer who specializes in divorce cases. She advised me to document everything and not confront Sarah until I had my financial affairs in order. Smart advice that I completely failed to follow. Sarah had been blowing up my phone nonstop. Texts switching between angry demands to know where I was and tearful pleas saying we needed to talk. I ignored them all until last night when she texted. I am coming to your brother's. We need to talk face to face. My brother offered to send her away, but I decided it was time. When she arrived, her eyes were red and puffy. She looked terrible, which gave me a sick sense of satisfaction. Can we talk privately? She asked. My brother reluctantly left us alone in his living room. The moment the door closed, everything changed. Sarah's vulnerable expression hardened into something I'd never seen before. You had no right to follow me, she hissed. I laughed in her face. You had no right to fuck your boss for 3 years. 2 years, she corrected, like that made it better. And James isn't just my boss anymore. We partners. Partners? In what? Adultery? She rolled her eyes. In business, you idiot. We relaunching our own firm. Those transfers you probably saw? That's my investment. We retaking half of the clients from the firm when we leave next month. I was speechless. This was bigger than an affair. She'd been planning an entire exit from her career, from our life, without telling me. And us? I finally managed to ask. What was your plan there? Her answer knocked the wind out of me. I was going to ask for an open marriage. I love James, but I love our life too. I thought we could make it work. I lost it. Started shouting about how delusional she was, how she destroyed everything. That's when she dropped the final bomb. I am pregnant. The room started spinning. We been trying for a baby for 2 years with no success. The doctors said my sperm count was low but not impossible. Is it? I couldn't finish the question. I don't know, she whispered. I am 8 weeks along. It could be either of you. I told her to get out. She refused, saying we needed to figure this out. That's when my brother burst in. Apparently he heard everything. He told Sarah if she didn't leave immediately, he'd call her company and tell them about her plans to steal clients. After she left, I broke down completely. My brother helped me contact my bank to freeze our joint accounts. Then something occurred to me. The burner phone might have more evidence I could use. I drove back to our house this morning while Sarah would be at work. But when I got to the closet, the phone was gone. Instead, there was a note. Looking for something? Let's talk. For real this time. She knew I'd found the phone. She'd known all along. I am meeting her at a public restaurant tonight. My lawyer advised against it, but I need answers. My entire life feels like a lie. The restaurant meeting was a setup. I am writing this from a hospital bed, still trying to process what happened. I chose a busy steakhouse downtown, public enough that neither of us could make a scene, private enough for a serious conversation. I arrived early, chose a corner table with a view of the entrance, and ordered a scotch to steady my nerves. Sarah walked in exactly on time. She looked immaculate as always, hair perfectly styled, wearing the blue dress I bought her for our anniversary last year. A calculated choice, no doubt. She sat down across from me, her face unreadable. Thank you for meeting me, she said, as if this were a business negotiation. I cut straight to it. How long have you known that I found the phone? She smiled slightly. Since the day you found it. There's a fingerprint scanner on it. It notifies me whenever someone else tries to access it. The passcode you guessed was a trap. It gives access to only certain messages. My stomach dropped. So there's more? Much more. But that's not why I asked you here. She leaned forward. James is flying to London tonight for a conference. He'll be gone for a week. Come home, let's talk this through properly. I still think we can salvage something. Salvage? I laughed bitterly. You've pregnant with a child that might not be mine. You've been embezzling from your company. And you've been fucking your boss for 2 years. What exactly do you think is left to salvage? Her expression darkened. Careful with those accusations. You have no proof of embezzlement. The money I moved was my bonus, earned entirely by me. And the baby? And James? The baby. Her hand moved protectively to her stomach, is a separate issue. As for James, he knew about you the entire time. This wasn't some tawdry affair. We have genuine feelings for each other. I felt sick. So they've just been, what? A convenience? A backup plan? They've been my husband, she said, her voice softening. My safe harbor. James is exciting, ambitious, passionate. Comfortable. Reliable. Each word felt like a knife. I stood up, threw some cash on the table, and walked out. She followed me to the parking lot, grabbing my arm. Don't leave like this. Come home. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through, I said, pulling away. They already contacted a divorce lawyer. That's when I noticed a man approaching from behind her. Tall, well-built, unmistakably James. He wasn't supposed to be there. You were supposed to be on your way to London, Sarah said, whirling around. Changed my flight to tomorrow, he replied coldly, eyes fixed on me. Thought I should meet the husband properly. What happened next is still a blur. James said something about making sure I understood the situation. I told him to go to hell. He stepped toward me. I pushed him back. Then suddenly he charged, slamming me against a parked car. My head hit the side mirror with a sickening crack. I don't remember much after that. According to witnesses, James continued to attack while Sarah screamed for him to stop. A group of restaurant patrons pulled him off me. Someone called 911. I woke up here with a concussion, 3 broken ribs, and a fractured wrist. The hospital called the police, who took my statement. James has been arrested for assault. Sarah has been trying to see me, but they refused. The nurse just brought me my phone, which survived the attack. There are dozens of messages from Sarah. The latest one froze my blood. This changes everything. I am selling the house. They already emptied the safe. By the time you out of the hospital, I'll be gone. I am sorry it ended this way. I just called my brother. He's heading to our house now to see if she's still there. They also contacted my lawyer about an emergency injunction to prevent her from selling our property. Everything I thought I knew about my life has shattered. I don't recognize the woman I married anymore. Who is she? Who have I been living with for 12 years? 6 months have passed since that night in the hospital. Sometimes I still wake up reaching for Sarah beside me, only to remember that the woman I loved never really existed. My brother made it to our house that night, but he was too late. Sarah had already cleared out her important belongings, the safe, and, strangely, all of our photo albums. The next day, my lawyer filed emergency paperwork to prevent the sale of our house. We discovered Sarah had already lined up a cash buyer, an LLC that traced back to James's brother. The judge granted the injunction. 2 days later, as I was being discharged from the hospital, I got a call from an unknown number. Don't try to find me. Sarah's voice was distant, hollow. James is being released on bail. We're leaving the country for a while until things settle. What about the baby? I asked, the question that had been haunting me. A long pause. There is no baby, David. There never was. The fake pregnancy was the cruelest twist in her elaborate game. My lawyer later found evidence that Sarah and James had been planning their exit for nearly 3 years, the exact timeline of their affair. The new company they were forming was real, but it wasn't just about taking clients. They had been systematically copying proprietary trading algorithms from their firm, planning to replicate them overseas where US patents held less weight. The money Sarah had been transferring wasn't just for their new venture. She'd been creating a shadow life, renting an apartment under an alias, establishing offshore accounts, even acquiring alternate identification. My simple, loving wife was apparently an expert in disappearing. The assault charges against James complicated their plans. International arrest warrants were issued, and their passports were flagged. But they prepared for contingencies. Security footage showed them crossing into Canada at a remote border checkpoint, using different identities. Their company's internal investigation uncovered the full scope of their scheme. They stolen not just algorithms, but client lists, investment strategies, and insider information worth potentially billions. The FBI opened an investigation for corporate espionage, adding federal charges to James' assault case. Through all this chaos, I tried to rebuild some semblance of a life. I returned to work, started therapy, and filed for divorce on grounds of abandonment and adultery. The divorce was granted by default when Sarah failed to respond to the summons. Then, 3 months ago, a package arrived at my office. No return address, postmarked from Grand Cayman. Inside was a USB drive and a handwritten note, insurance. Use if necessary. The drive contained hundreds of documents, emails, financial records, photos, meticulously organized evidence of financial crimes reaching to the highest levels of their former company. Sarah had been creating this archive for years, documenting every unethical and illegal action she witnessed or participated in. My lawyer advised turning it over to the FBI immediately, which I did. It was the smoking gun they needed. Indictments came down against half the executive team. The company's stock plummeted. Thousands of jobs were at risk. 2 weeks later, I received another anonymous package. This one contained divorce papers signed by Sarah, relinquishing all claims to our shared assets, along with a key to a safety deposit box. Inside the box was $500,000 in bearer bonds and another note. This doesn't make us even, but it's a start. The money felt tainted, blood money. I donated it all to a charity supporting victims of financial fraud. I couldn't keep a penny of it. Last week, Interpol finally caught up with them in Bali. Their elaborate false identities had begun to unravel. According to the arrest report, they'd been living in a luxury villa, passing themselves off as Australian tech entrepreneurs. James refused extradition and is fighting the charges from an Indonesian jail. Sarah, however, waived her rights and is being returned to face justice. My lawyer called yesterday. Sarah is requesting to see me before she begins cooperation with the authorities. She's offering to provide testimony against James and the entire executive team in exchange for leniency. The prosecutor thinks her testimony could be the key to unraveling one of the largest financial fraud cases in decades. I haven't decided if I'll see her. What could she possibly say that would make any difference now? The woman I built my life with, planned a family with, loved with every fiber of my being. She was a fiction, a carefully constructed facade hiding a person capable of breathtaking deception. Yet part of me still needs answers. Not about the crimes or the money or even the affair, but about us. Was any of it real? Were there moments, even fleeting ones, when the love between us wasn't a calculated performance? I need to know if I spent 12 years loving a complete stranger, or if fragments of truth existed within the elaborate lie. Tomorrow, I am selling our house. The new owners are a young couple expecting their first child. When they asked about the neighborhood, I told them it was a wonderful place to start a family. I didn't mention that my family had died before it even began. As I packed the last of my belongings, I found something Sarah had missed in her hasty exit, a photo that had slipped behind our dresser. It's from our honeymoon, both of us laughing as we tried to take a selfie on a beach in Maui. Her smile looked so genuine, her eyes fixed on me with what I always thought was love. I still don't know if I'll meet with Sarah when she returns. But I do know this. The woman in that photo no longer exists, if she ever did at all. And the man beside her, that hopeful, trusting fool, he's gone too. They changed my number, deleted my social media, and tomorrow I move to a new city to start over. The burner phone that started this nightmare sits in an evidence locker somewhere, its secrets now part of a federal case that will likely make headlines for years to come. Sometimes I still find myself checking for hidden phones or secret messages, scanning rooms for evidence of lies. The doctors call it hypervigilance, a symptom of trauma. I call it survival. Trust, once shattered, doesn't reassemble into its original form. It becomes something else entirely, cautious, conditional, and forever marked by the fractures of betrayal. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust again, but at least now I am moving forward with my eyes wide open. The perfect marriage I thought I had was the most elaborate illusion of all. But as I locked the door to our house for the final time, I realized that the truth, however painful, has finally set me free. Dear viewers, thank you for watching this video. Please share your perspectives in the comment section below. And remember to like, share, and subscribe.